Okay, welcome to Come Follow Me Teaching Tips for Teachers. I'm Garth Haslam today, and I have to begin by apologizing. The mighty, the lovely, and talented Julie Haslam is not available today, so you're going to have to put up with me. This course is about helping you, the Sunday school leader, the teacher, maybe the parent, come up with a way to bring the Come Follow Me lessons alive. The idea is that if there's 3 brains in the room, if you're in your family room, or if there's 20 brains in the room and you're maybe teaching the Sunday school lesson and you're the one in front, the idea is to engage all 21 brains in the room and have each of the individuals thinking and contributing and being lifted by the Spirit, understanding that fear is, oh my gosh, I'm the Sunday school teacher, I have to deliver this lesson, I have to get through the lesson, I have to present the lesson, I. That's fear. Faith is, I'm the leader of this discussion, I'm in the front of the room, but it is the Holy Ghost who does the teaching. And I need to have the faith and the willingness to allow the Spirit to guide this discussion. And not to have necessarily the need to get through the lesson, but the need to give the class whatever it is that their needs might require. So, this week we're going through Moses 7, and you can see my notes here. Standard set of not much, but it's loaded with questions, and it's the questions that I believe provide the magic here. You know, you don't have to be the lecturer. You don't have to be the one person in the room that knows everything. You don't have to be smarter than all of the 20 people in the room combined. Not your role. That's fear. So, as we go into this, Moses 7, I'm looking at verse 1, looking for Easter eggs. And let's just go there. It came to pass that Enoch continued his speech, saying, Behold, our father Abraham taught these things, and many have believed and become the sons of God, and many have believed not and have perished in their sins, and are looking forward with fear, in torment, for the fiery indignation of the wrath of God to be poured upon them. So here's my thing. As we think of Christ, are we thinking of meeting him with fear? Or there was a comment once as I was in a priesthood meeting that was like, how are we going to feel when we're about to meet the Lord? Is it going to be, oh my gosh, I can't wait for my turn. I'm going to run up to him and embrace him and kiss his cheek and just be so glad that I'm home with him, where I get to be around him and feel his presence? Or is it more of a fear thing where it's like, oh my gosh, I got to face the Lord, and I did X, Y, and Z, and I don't think I can do this. I'd really rather have, as the scriptures say, the mountains fall down upon me and hide me so that I don't have to face the Lord. Which one is that? And I don't know that necessarily fearing the Lord necessarily means that we've lived a bad life. I think some of us like to torture ourselves more than others. But I think that we should also look for that lifestyle where we have that relationship with the Lord, where we can, where we know him through prayer, where we know him through listening for his word as we make decisions. And as we do that, we have that relationship, and so we know what that meeting is going to be like, and we look forward to it. So here's the question that I would propose for you to ask of the class. Do we look forward to meeting with God with anticipation or with fear? And, fear is an interesting word. Fear of meeting with God, fear of teaching a Sunday school class, fear of not being adequate to teach the Sunday school class, fear that you don't know as much as you're supposed to, fear, absence of faith. And I think you probably know that I'm going to tell you that faith is a better choice than fear. So that's verse 1. That's what I got out of that one. And so you can ask those kinds of questions as you're doing that. Is, are we going to feel like we're sons of God, or are we going to feel like there's fear and torment around? Next, I'm going to verse 4 in the same chapter. Let's go there. And I saw the Lord, and he stood before my face, and he talked with me, even as a man talketh one with another, face to face. And we could go there. You could ask questions about, what does face to face mean to you, and what does it tell you? But that's not the direction, that's a very valid question that you could ask of the group. But not the direction that I was going to go with this particular question. And I'm going to continue. And he said unto me, look, and I will show unto thee the world for the space of many generations. Now, here's the little golden nugget that I saw. And I'm just going to go back here in verse 4. Look, and I will show unto thee the world for the space of many generations. For me, the key word there is look. That, to me, is the little Easter egg, the golden egg that I love to find. The Lord just didn't say, okay, I'm going to show you all this stuff. He still needed Enoch's permission. He didn't need to do much, but he did need to do something. And the Lord, all-powerful as he is not going to take away Enoch's agency, even if he's about to give him one of the greatest miracles and gifts ever to be bestowed on man. He's not just going to do it. He's still going to require that Enoch do something. And in this case, Enoch had to look. And so I think that is one of the little Easter eggs, and one of the questions that we can ask is, how does the Lord look upon our agency? Let's go there. Here's my notes. Look, and I will show. That's the Lord honoring Enoch's agency. And that, to me, I go back to Sunday school lessons where somebody mentioned, for example, that the Lord already has everything. There's nothing we can give him that he doesn't already have. We're puny, he's big. And so for us to think we can, from my point of view, give glory to God, it's already his. We have nothing to give him that he doesn't already have, except for one thing, and that's our agency. And you could go down that road with your Sunday school discussion. There's nothing wrong with that. In my case, in this case of this particular question, if you decide to use this one, is how important is agency to the Lord? And what does this indicate? The Lord, like I say, as a parent, we don't just walk into the room, or maybe we do, we walk into the room and say, hey child, here's a gift for you. Here's a toy car. The Lord, instead, his method of parenting, per se, it's still a gift, but he might say, okay, child, walk into the room and look at me. Put your other toys down, and then I will give you this gift. He doesn't require much of us, but he does require that we want and acknowledge and hopefully appreciate the gifts. And I'm going to use the word request as well, or allow the gifts that the Lord always wishes to provide. And this is one of those lessons. Like, it's not up to the Lord to give us gifts. It's up to us to allow him to do so. He's already ready, willing, and able. It's us that are holding him back. So look, and I will show, and the Lord is honoring Enoch's agency, come up with your own question around that, but and you can even ask, what does this indicate about the Lord's respect for everyone's individual agency? Next question would be Enoch. He's going, and we'll read these in verse 29 and 31. He's saying, how is it you can weep? Maybe we won't read that, but basically he says, look, you've made millions of planets that I can see, and the curtain's not all fully withdrawn, and so there's so much that you haven't done, or that you have done, that I can't see, but I can see the millions of planets. Your greatness, your glory is beyond anyone's imagination and description. You've got everything. You're all powerful. You're all merciful. You're all everything. How can you weep? Why are you crying? And it's interesting the way the Lord basically says, here's what my world looks like. And the Lord points out that even though we may have what the Lord has in some measure, in this case I'm thinking of the peace of Christ, even though we may be living in a way that allows us to have the Lord's peace, even though our souls are centered, we know who we are, we love each other, we're learning much about how the Lord is, we can still be put in a place that can cause us to weep. And that's not because we're doing it wrong or because we don't have the peace of Christ. It can be because there are others out there who we love, or there are conditions that are still out there that can not necessarily take away our inner peace long term, but that can be difficult. And that's what the Lord is talking about here. I'm going to go quickly to 29. Let's just go down to that verse, 29 and 31. And it came to pass that the God of heaven looked upon the residue of the people, and he wept. And Enoch, here's Enoch. He says, Enoch bore record of it, saying, how is it that the heavens weep, and shed forth their tears as rain upon the mountains? That was 28. And Enoch said unto the Lord, and how is it that thou canst weep, seeing that thou art holy, and from all eternity to all eternity? And then he goes on in 30, and he says, and were it possible that man could number the particles of the earth, yea, millions of earths like this, it would not be a beginning to the number of thy creations. And then he goes on and he continues to gush in verse 30. And then at the end of verse 31, he finishes up and he says, how is it that thou canst weep? It's like Enoch's just marveling here, and he's going, how? You've got everything. And then we go to verse 37, and the Lord answers that question. Let's do that. And I'm going to skip to roughly the bottom. Even all the workmanship of my hands, well, let's do the whole thing. But behold, their sins shall be upon the heads of their fathers. That's a discussion you could have in your Sunday school class. If I, the father, screw something up and my daughter suffers or my son suffers, what does that mean to me? Satan shall be their father, and misery shall be their doom, and the whole heavens shall weep over them, even all the workmanship of my hands. Wherefore should not the heavens weep, seeing these shall suffer? Here the Lord has the love that many of us parents feel, seeing others, or perhaps even ourselves, suffer for whatever reason. Life can be tough. And I think it's important to point out that though things can be tough, we can still have the peace of Christ in our soul. We can be centered in our soul, and the surface of the ocean can be wavy and choppy and difficult, but you go down into the ocean where your soul is, and it's still peaceful. And I'm going to say it knows what it is. One example of that came to mind as I was preparing for this discussion with you is my favorite missionary companion. His name is Elder Lou Serro. He was and is an amazing man. And he, for many years now, he's of course about my age because we went on our missions together. For many years now, he's been caring for his wife. He's been the caretaker, and she's had a very debilitating disease. He put on social media, and that's why I think I can tell this story, is because he put it out there to the world already. But he talked about how he has to take his wife potty and do all those kinds of things that nobody really wants to do. He talked about how he realized the other day that he has to carry her to the potty so she can go. And of course that's heavy and it's difficult and it's unpleasant and it's all of those things that none of us would really wish for our own life. But he realized that as he is carrying her and placing her as gently as possible on the toilet, those are the moments when he hugs her. That's, and using his words, that's the only time when he gets to embrace her. And that dude, he loves his wife. And that man is going to heaven. And I admire the heck out of him. But I think in his soul, there's peace. On the surface of his ocean, there's a lot of big, heavy waves. There's sore backs. There's time you can't go places. You can't go on vacations. You have to even be careful about going to the store. Everything that you do is all about exerting yourself to care for another, and friends and entertainment, not a part of his life. Not like I would want for mine. So, does he weep for his wife? Sure he does. Does he have the peace of Christ within his own soul so that he can bear the burdens that are placed upon him? I believe that he does. And another very wise person who is now a missionary once said that when you meet someone, you just have to assume that they are hurting, because in all probability that they are. As we go through the pains in our life, maybe we have someone who is wayward, maybe we have someone who has a disease, maybe it's an addiction. But as we do that, we can still have the peace of Christ. And it's okay to weep because the Lord did. So, end of that speech. So the question can be, is it okay to weep? Does the Lord weep? And does it have to ruin our lives? Or can it be just the surface of the ocean and not our everything? I talked to another guy on the internet. I've been on this planet for a number of years. Talked to one guy on the internet who got put in a wheelchair, and he was very bitter about it and just lived a bitter life. I know another individual whose name is Clay. He's awesome, and if you talk to him about that, he will say that his accident, hitting a horse on a motorcycle, was the one thing that saved him, because he was on a road that was not good. And so him ending up in a wheelchair, he will tell you that's a blessing. So maybe the question as you're teaching your course, your class with your group or with your family is, how do we get that peace of Christ so that as things happen at school or whatever, we're okay? All right, going to verse 37, we did that. Answer to the above, how is it the Lord can weep? He weeps because he loves. You gotta love that. As parents, we know a thing or two about that. Our kids, they choose wrong. The only way to prevent them from choosing wrong is to control everything, and we all know that that was not the Lord's plan in the pre-existence, so it's probably not the Lord's plan here. So as parents, we have to choose how to loosen that rope a little bit at a time, so that kids, once they're 18 or 21 or whatever age of adulthood, at that point they can run their lives, and it's not like going from having no rope to all the rope in the world from which they can then hang themselves. He weeps because he loves. The last question I would ask that I have here, agency. Can the Lord remove someone's agency? This is how. This is an illustration of how the Lord views our agency. And I go to the Bruce Almighty movie. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. But basically, Bruce is back east somewhere. It might have been Philadelphia or something like that. And he's complaining to the Lord, why don't you do this and this and this for me? So the Lord, in the form of Morgan Freeman, says, all right, here you go. You can have my duties for this area for a small amount of time. Bruce quickly finds out that that's not a job he wants, because there's way too many decisions and too hard. But one of the key concepts that really stuck with me from that movie is when Bruce says, he wanted to be in love with Jennifer Aniston. He wanted Jennifer to love him. And so he goes to the Lord and he says, how do you make someone love you? And Morgan Freeman, God, in this show, he says, welcome to my world. I thought, yeah, I'm sure the Lord would like to make all of us love him, but he can't. That's Satan's plan. There is agency. And the Lord, I think, respects that agency more than anything else. It is, like I say, the one gift, the one power that we hold, the one thing we can give the Lord. So the question associated with this one is maybe similar to the question above, is how important is our agency? And what can we do to protect that gift and use it to better ourselves and access the Lord's gifts? That's what I have for you today and this week. And I hope it helps in your own preparation for your own Sunday school class or discussion of whatever variety. Maybe it's just your own discussion with yourself as you think about these questions. But I'm hoping they help. And once again, like and follow, subscribe, do all those things. It helps us feel like we're making a difference. And thank you for watching.